regrets he has a few. Tucker Carlson apologizing to one of his longtime punching bags, Hunter Biden.
I advocated for all kinds of things that I now regret advocating for.
Particularly the things that you said about me.
Is deep regret. No, I do actually. I mean, I regret in the sense that as someone who has dealt with addiction, not quite as in exciting ways you did, but I've been there for sure. Extend grace to people who are out of their minds. Like you would think I would do that. I should have done that more. So I do regret that.
Turns out the two rivals can find common ground in having the same enemy.
The one existential threat that I think that we face as a country is Donald Trump.
We've had a lot of bad leaders, actually, or mediocre leaders. I don't know. We've had a flamboyantly corrupt leader like this. We haven't ever.
Okay, group chat is back. I won't run through them all, but I'll run through some of them. Macro dosing with PFT, armchair expert Dax Shepard. This is Gavin Newsom, The Tucker Carlson Show, America First, Candace Owens. I think you can get Hunter Biden at your bar mitzvah at this point. The man is everywhere.
I wonder what the end game is. I mean, look, I don't fault him for it. He had such a horrible reputation, and he was picked on for years, rightly or wrong.
But Americans love a comeback. We love a person who comes back.
Yeah, I just wonder what.
Yeah. What is the point?
No, I think there is a point. I just don't know what his is. Does he want to run for office sometime? Maybe. I don't know.
I thought it was about challenging some of these people in their own environment, right? Like he was with Nick Fuentes at one point, and I think he thinks he's injecting into a particular vein of politics, like the words and thoughts from Democrats and from Biden era politics.
You're absolutely right. And then speaking in a very unfiltered way, which people have an appetite for.
Which is the whole thing,
why he's making so many rounds as well. Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
You tick off the boxes. Each of these he's made news with each of these appearances because, again, he's speaking in a more unfiltered way.
Or even just being there. If you think about how much hand-wringing there was over where Kamala Harris appeared in terms of whether she'd do Joe Rogan and all this stuff, there's always this idea that Democrats are too cautious. And he's very much being like, look at me dancing through multiple lion's dens.
I think he's challenging a system in a way that Democrats traditionally have not been able to do and get away with it. I said earlier, our homework is not graded the same. I still believe that. But Hunter Biden's father is no longer in office, so he can say what the hell he wants, and it's okay. Plus, there's no one out there, I think, defending his father and his father's legacy for people continuing to beat up on his father. As a son, my late father, if that happened to me, I would be out there on the front line defending my dad.
Which he has said multiple times, right? But he's just dropping F-bombs left and right. I think he's really using the kind of language people were jokingly calling dark woke, like the idea that it's going to be more pugilistic than before.
And the shows he's going on loves it because they're getting more viewers. They're getting different viewers.
Yeah, it's a good booking, so to speak.
It's not tradition. I also think politics is a contact sport, but it sometimes can be a sport of convenience. Tucker Carlson and Hunter Biden is a convenient opportunity for both of them to up their numbers.
What's the opportunity for Tucker? What's going on with his tour of whatever this is?
Well, for Tucker, he just released a 10-point plan that he has. There was a picture with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and others. He's been flirting without necessarily saying he's going to create a third party, a third lane as well.
Ahead of the 2028 election?
I know, but I thought the implication was that he wouldn't run if it was J.D. Vance, that somehow if it was Marco Rubio, where he can complain about military intervention and things like that, he might run, but with J.D. Vance, not so much. Okay, it was in Politico they were saying this.
Yeah, I think that this third party thing's, listen, I'm all for it. I think the machines can, but I just think it's very difficult.
It is very difficult. Do you remember Ross Perot?
Well, Ross Perot, but also, what was last cycle?
Jill Stein.
No labels.
No labels.
Jill Stein.
And the irony, of course, is in the podcast yesterday, Tucker said that he felt humiliated because he overstated his influence and impact in being unsuccessful in convincing Trump not to wage the war with Iran.
What? I feel like that's kind of BS. Isn't that a way of just admitting you were ignored, but trying to spin it into distance?
And just failed, right? Which feeds into the White House narrative that this is just a lot of sour grapes as well.
Hunter Biden says former President Biden's cancer is getting worse.
It's not good. The cancer has spread, is metastasized into his bones and further. It's very painful, and it's very debilitating in many respects.
The former president revealed he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer back in May of 2025, less than 4 months after he left the White House. With us now to talk about all of this is Dr. Mark Litwin, professor of urology and public health at UCLA. Thanks for coming on. So the former president, as I mentioned, announced his diagnosis roughly 14 months ago. And at that time, we learned of it. Biden's team said the cancer had metastasized to the bone. Now Hunter Biden says it's spread even further. How much more serious is this in your view?
Well, metastatic prostate cancer is by definition serious. We often think about prostate cancer as a slow-growing, indolent kind of a disease, but once it has metastasized, once it gets into the bone, the lymph nodes, it's really not considered curable. So from the outset, we knew it was a very high-grade tumor, and we knew it was very serious from the very beginning. And it is taking a course now that that one might expect.
And, you know, he's 83 years old. What is a prognosis for someone of his age with a cancer like this?
It's interesting. The treatments for metastatic prostate cancer have dramatically improved over the last 10, 20 years. Most prostate cancer treatment for someone like him is focused on eliminating testosterone from the body that feeds the cancer. Once that's done, then we add additional drugs that will even ratchet the testosterone down even further. Several drugs developed actually at UCLA where I work. And then beyond that, there are treatments for the painful bony lesions as well. Overall, probably about a third of men with what he has will live 5 years. So the survivals are not horrible, but obviously they're not great either. So this is a highly lethal cancer, and it's very uncertain exactly how it's gonna play out for him.
And so you mentioned the treatment options because this cancer appears to be more hormone sensitive, right?
Prostate cancers in general are hormone sensitive when they start out. And all that means is that we can use testosterone blockers to help treat the patient because most all prostate cancers require testosterone to live and to grow. And by knocking out testosterone, that's really the first line of therapy. And when people say that the tumor is hormone sensitive, that's what's meant. Eventually, most prostate cancers that are hormone sensitive become hormone insensitive, and then we go to additional treatments. There's never been a better time to have prostate cancer than 2026, but it's not a good diagnosis once it's been metastasized to the bones and, as the family said, beyond, which may mean liver, may mean lungs. There's no way to know without their specifying.
And you heard Hunter Biden talk about how painful it has been for his father. Talk a little bit more about that, the pain associated with this.
Yeah, typically the bone spread is what causes the pain because as the tumors set themselves up in various bones of the body, often the spine, but also what we call the long bones of the body, like the arm bones and the leg bones, they expand in a way that causes severe pain. That pain is very treatable. We have many medications that treat it. We have many medications that we administer that target the bone and that target the bone pain in particular. So there's a lot of great treatment for it, but there's no question it can be a very painful condition.
And you've raised the potential cognitive impact of his cancer. What are the links between prostate cancer and the brain?
Virtually none. Straight up, virtually none. Prostate cancer doesn't spread to the brain, or it's almost unheard of for it to spread to the brain. So the cognitive impacts of prostate cancer in particular, really there are none in particular other than just a person suffering from an advanced cancer, which can create a burden, a psychological or mental burden on him. But there are no direct cognitive effects from prostate cancer itself.
All right, Dr. Mark Litwin, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on.